So we now have a functioning predictive web service that we're able to call from clients. But there are a few other things we might want to look at, and one of those things is we might want to add some parameters to that web service so that we get a little flexibility in how it behaves. So let's take a look at working with parameters. So here's my predictive experiment for the diabetes predictor. And you might remember that we're looking up the physician data in an Azure SQL database. So the connection settings that we need to connect to that database are in this import data module here, and I've got them listed in the properties of that. Now, one of the things that I might want to do is add a bit of flexibility here. I've hard-coded the server name into this experiment. So when we publish the web service, then it's hard-coded in the web service. And of course, I might move databases around. I might move them from one server to another, or I might rename servers, or there might be some reason that we need some flexibility there, and I don't want to have to come in and change it and republish the web service every time I do that. So what I could do is I could take that value there and set that as a web service parameter. In fact, I can do that for any of these properties in here. So I'm setting this one as a parameter. You can see the little globe icon tells me that that is a parameter. And if I scroll to the bottom here, I can actually see my web service parameters. There's database server name is the parameter. And I can provide a default value for that parameter. So if a client doesn't specify what value should go there, I can have a default. And I'll just go with the name of my server. So it was a SQL 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got the default value in there just in case the client doesn't specify it. But the client can now specify an alternative value for that particular setting for that database server name. So to make that change, we're going to have to run the experiment again and then redeploy the web service. So we'll just run the experiment. And then when it has finished running, I can go and deploy the web service again. So we'll just deploy again using the new web service model. And when it does that, it realizes this has already actually been deployed as a web service. So it's going to deploy this to the existing web service. It's going to overwrite that web service that we've already got. And then when the web service has been deployed, I can go and take a look at the test interface first of all. And I can see the same interface I saw before when I tested it, but also this addition of a global parameter here. So I can specify a parameter, and my default value is already in there. And similarly, if I go back to an application that I've been using with that web service, I don't have to update anything about the URL or the key. It's going to use the same endpoint and the same key. It's just been updated with that ability to use a parameter. And if I just go back, I'll just close this instance of the web service and then open it up again. And now I can specify my test data, but I can also specify a parameter for the database. So I haven't actually moved it to a different place. We'll just, for the sake of showing it, type in the same value. But we're going to go and connect to this parameterized database server name, and we're going to take our data and write the results. So just to prove that it's actually doing that, we'll clear those out, and then we'll go and run our web service again. And it still works, it goes and it connects, and we can see that it's connecting to our database server because we're getting the physician's name returned from there as well. So that's how I can add a parameter, and I could parameterize as many of the settings as I need to give me the flexibility that I want in my predictive web service.